alerts. Dylan's in for Al this morning. She's got her eye on every single one of them. Hi, Dylan.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Good morning. These are the warnings for storm number 1. These are the warnings and watches for storm number 2. So let's talk about the first one. We've got snow falling in Lexington, Kentucky, Charleston, West Virginia. We've got heavy rain in Nashville and heavy rain extending into eastern Arkansas, too. This is going to spread through the mid-Atlantic, and this is one of those storms where the farther south you go, the more snow you're going to get. So a little bit of snow possible in New York, but it's more like Philadelphia, southern New Jersey, Washington, D.C., and then you go farther south and it transitions to ice and then eventually rain. This will occur tonight into early tomorrow morning, and then that will exit. Then we get ready for the next storm system. This one is going to be more snow to ice to rain. So for the East Coast, it will eventually transition to rain, but before it does that, we are going to see some snow across Chicago tomorrow evening. Buffalo will see some snow, then a transition to ice. Even in New York City, we'll see some snow before it goes to ice and rain in time for the Thursday morning commute. So here's the snow we'll get from the first storm system. Again, not much in New York. You have about 2 to 4 inches in Philadelphia. Higher amounts the farther south you go in New Jersey. Washington, D.C., about 4 to 6 inches. Back through the Appalachians, we're looking at some higher amounts, closer to 8 inches in the higher elevations. This is storm number 2. Chicago could end up with about 6 to maybe 8 inches in some areas. Central Michigan, also that 6 to 8 inch range. And then that's going to extend into northern Illinois. Now, this is also going to be the ice maker that we'll see across parts of the Northeast. Altoona could end up with 1/10 of an inch of ice. Again, this is going to be very, very slippery, especially back through the Appalachians. But for the East Coast itself, even though it will ice overnight, it will transition to rain by Thursday morning. Peter?
All right, Dylan, appreciate it very much. And we turn now to flus moving around. A lot of people will be stuck inside with a lot of bad weather coming
Yeah,
through.
It feels like the cold weather certainly doesn't help. And it's really cold up across the northern plains, the upper Midwest. Temperatures in the single digits and lower teens. The snow is already starting to move across parts of West Virginia into southern Ohio, into Virginia as well. And really heavy rain with a flood risk down farther south, down through Tennessee and along the Gulf Coast, too. That's a look at the weather across the country. We'll get to your local forecast in the next 30 seconds. And that's your latest forecast.
Dylan, thank you very much. Coming up right here, 2 American tourists recovering right now from
Weather, Miss Dylan.
Good morning again, guys. We talked about the snow and ice. We also have a rainy side to these storm systems moving through. And you can see really heavy rain from Nashville, just south of Little Rock. We have some cloud-to-ground lightning across eastern Texas. So there is going to be a lot of rain. And in some areas, we could see some flooding, especially in poor drainage areas, urban areas where that rain really has nowhere to go. And it's a pretty widespread area from Texas all the way up into parts of northwestern Georgia, where we could see a slight risk of that flash flooding. As much as 4 inches of rain is possible in some areas, especially across northern Louisiana into parts of eastern Texas. Go over into Mississippi. We'll see a lot of that heavy rain, too. We also have a risk of some stronger storms tomorrow as that whole system moves to the east. And there is the chance we could see wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour. Isolated tornado is possible. Not much of a hail risk, but still we are looking at the chance of some isolated severe storms, especially in this area from Baton Rouge all the way into parts of Alabama. That's a look at the weather across the country. Now here's a peek out your window. And that's your latest forecast.
Thank you, Dylan. I simply cannot wait for Pop Start. I must have a sneak peek.
It is a tale of 2 storms. So let's go through the details here. This is storm number 1. This is storm number 2 and the watches and warnings associated with it. So let's break down the first one because it's already starting to bring some heavier snow through Lexington, Kentucky, Charleston, West Virginia, seeing the snow. Heavy rain on the south side of it down near Nashville. Snow is going to take hold across Virginia, and then eventually it will move through the mid-Atlantic. So this is not a New York City storm. This is more of a Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. type of snowstorm where we could end up with several inches of snow. You go a little farther south across southern Virginia. We're looking at some ice and then the heavy rain and perhaps some of the stronger storms associated with that cold front. Then that will exit Wednesday morning. Then here's the next storm for Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, and early Thursday morning. Now, this one is more of a snowstorm for the Midwest. It will, for the East Coast, start as snow, change to ice, then end as rain in time for the morning commute on Thursday morning. So as for snow with the first storm system, we're looking at a couple of inches, 2 to 4 inches possible in Philadelphia, higher amounts across southern parts of New Jersey. Washington, D.C. could end up with about 4 to 6 inches of snow, more snow in the higher elevations back through the Appalachians. Then here's the second storm system with most of the snow across areas like northern Illinois into central Michigan, where we could end up with about 6, maybe up to 8 inches of snow. And again, I mentioned that ice, that snow to ice transition. Most of the icing will occur across Pennsylvania, down again through West Virginia. Virginia into parts of Virginia, too, especially western Virginia with the higher elevations where we could see up to a tenth or more of ice on the ground, and that will make things very slippery for most areas Thursday morning, Peter.
Yeah, good day for a lot of folks to be careful. Dylan, appreciate it very much. And
to get from Dylan.
I mean, look at this map. Is this not art for you? We've got every color tackled here. We've got the blue indicating where the snow is kind of falling across northern Kentucky. It's going to get a little heavier as we go through the next several hours into this evening. We also have some heavier rain extending down just to the east of Dallas, too. We could see some stronger storms, and we are going to see this as our first storm exit the East Coast before the second one makes its way in tomorrow. Now, we've got really, really cold temperatures across the northern plains, high temperatures even below zero in some spots. The wind chill obviously even colder. The teens extend down across the central plains, 30s through the Midwest, 20s across the Northeast, too. 70s and 80s down south, which is just indicating how much moisture that air can hold when it's a little bit warmer. So that's why we do have that flood risk with this heavier rain moving eastward. It does look nice and sunny out in the southwest, and we are going to expect some rain, though, soon in California, where it is much needed. That's a look at the weather across the country. Now here's a peek out your window. And don't forget, you can always find us on Today's Show Radio, Sirius XM Channel 108.
All right, Dylan, thank you very much. Carson, a little time for a little pop star.
It's 400 pounds. We got to go, Peter. We're going to start with Cynthia.
But I can't tell you anything about it.
But that makes me think it's happening.
High odds. High odds. Yeah, I agree. We'll have to see. Oscars are set for. That immediately following the game, overall place for Eagles Fly got a streaming boost of 13,000% after the
Do you
game.
know how many times Savannah played that?
That and the Rocky
11,000.
theme, like from 7 a.m. Sunday morning. And guess what? It worked. We won.
And Steve Miller Band, Fly Like an F1 from the same directors as Top Gun Maverick hits theaters in June. Four-chair turn, though, I'll tell you that. Sorry. That's the way it rolls in the bracket.
With this theme, we've got Anna Gasteyer here. I'm not going to put you on the spot because these are all your